powder coating a rim. To do that, we have to take the tire off, pull the valve stem out, and then sandblast the rim, clean it off really good with acetone or any sort of paint prep solvent, and then powder coat it and bake it in the oven for a while. So we're going to start, all you really need to do this is a little bit of soapy water, a tire changing machine to break the bead, and then a valve core tool or a set of thin needle nose pliers to pull the valve stem core out so you can deflate the tire quickly. I mean, you can do it without that, it just takes a lot longer. So we'll start by pulling the valve core out. Basically just with the needle nose pliers, if you look in there, the valve core has a 2 flat sides on it. And it just unscrews like this. Sure. And the 2 flat sides right there, you can grab onto it like that. And wait for the tire to deflate. Once the tire is deflated, you set the rim right next to that little lip on the tire machine. Just like that. This metal piece, the red metal piece, will fit between the tire and the rim right here. Just like that. And then, don't have to go far. There we go. Push down. It's a good idea to rotate it once you do that so you can make sure the bead is loosened all the way around. Be careful of this. If you push down with this tool right here, you can actually cut the valve stem in half. So that's off. I'm going to flip it over. Do the same thing again. Backside can go a little bit harder. Soapy water can help. It also helps if you have your tire machine bolted to the ground. I do not. This is the harder part now, taking the actual tire off. Start popping the bead off the top. This is the part where the soapy water really comes in handy. It's also a good idea to push it down so that this lip right here, so that the bead of the tire is lower than this lip. It'll give you more slack to be able to pull the bead off in the first place. Lift it up. And then you basically do the same thing again. This time it's usually a bit harder because you have the top bead that's in the way of your tool. But it's still doable. That's the most difficult part, physically at least. I'll take the tire off, or the rim off. So normally, if you're going to be keeping the rim the way it is, there's probably a good idea to stick something here, but I'm going to be sandblasting it so that red paint's going to be removed. And it's actually going to be red anyway, so you probably wouldn't even notice, but now we remove the valve stem from the rim. This is difficult usually. I made a little tool out of a thick piece of wire. It slides behind the back of the valve stem, and you can grab it with pliers and pop it out. It usually takes a few tries. And there's always a chance of damaging these when you pull them out. They are just rubber, especially if they're old. You can damage them and you'll have to get a new one. But so far I'm damaging them, so over some difference. So because of the way these ones are shaped, it's best to pull them out through the back. Some of them you can actually pull out through the front without damaging them. It's a good idea to put the valve core back in here so you don't lose the valve core unless you have a good place to store them. So at this point, we're gonna take a wire wheel to this to clean off all the old rubber that's stuck to the rim. And then we're going to take a wire wheel to any of the rust. And then after that, we can actually just sandblast it to get the clear coat that's on this off. And then we'll be powder coating these red, or this one red. I've already done 4 of them. You want to get as much of that old rubber off as you can, because when you go to bake it for powder coating, that rubber will outgas and mess up the powder coating finish. And generally any contaminants will do that. It's a good idea to get it as clean as you possibly can before you try to powder coat it. I've used this stuff, pre-painting prep. By Eastwood. It works pretty good. It seems like it's like acetone in a can or something. It's pretty much just a solvent in a can that you can spray on there and get all the oils and stuff off. Oils are probably the worst because oils will cause the powder coating to not stick as well and just make it look terrible. After we set up the powder coating setup, I'll explain a little bit more, but because it uses static, you can get dirt to stick to it, so it's a good idea to clean the area you'll be powder coating in before you start powder coating, before you even turn the gun on. Cleaning this rubber off will help the new bead seat properly so it doesn't leak air also. We go around here now to get the rubber off because the sandblaster doesn't do well with rubber, and maybe a little pitted the parts that are pitted with rust. I'll hit those quick, and then it'll be ready to go in the sandblasting booth, or sandblasting booth. Now, we're good to wipe it off a little bit to get the extra dust off and maybe some of the dirt that's still there, and then put it in the sandblasting cabinet and start sandblasting. So, let's do that. So it's sandblasted now. I cleaned it up with some pre-painting prep, and it's pretty much ready to be powder coated. I might clean it up one more time with the pre-painting prep, and then I'll hook up the powder coating gun, start spraying powder on it, and then preheat the oven and get it ready to go in the oven. As soon as I'm done with that, I'll come back. It's going to take a little while, so I'll be back. Alrighty, so this is how I have it set up. Currently in the oven I have the wheel wired up. So it's hanging from an oven rack just like this one. I have it set up so that I can set it here once it comes out of the oven. The reason I have it in the oven first is because it's a different method of powder coating. It's called hot flocking. It basically helps get into some of the smaller areas, like for those rims specifically, the lug nut holes. If you don't static charge it but you heat it up, you can get the powder to get into the small areas, because there's something called the Faraday effect, I believe that's what it's called, where small holes and stuff like that in parts can actually repel the powder, like the lug nut holes specifically on there. And to avoid that, you just hook it up, or you heat it up first and powder it. Once it's all sprayed down, you can, once you get the areas that are hard to get, you can then connect the electricity to it, like the electrode for the powder coating gun to run voltage through it to help the rest of it stick. But really, when it's hot, you don't really need that much. It does help save powder because the static actually pulls the powder in away from it. If you see, I have plastic set up. That's to avoid any small particles of dirt that might be on the floor from statically sticking, being statically charged and sticking to the part. It also helps clean up the powder when I'm done, because you do get powder everywhere basically. I have the regulator set to right between 5 and 10 psi, just enough to create a nice little fog of red powder. And the gun's plugged in. The wheel is almost to temperature. I'm trying to get it to exactly what the instructions say the powder should be baked at. I'm using an infrared thermometer to check it. It's a little bit difficult to do on metallic surfaces, because metallic surfaces do reflect IR, so you can actually take the temperature of something in the reflection of the metal. But if you get after it's sandblasted, it helps a lot. So it's not just reflection that you're seeing. I can see it pretty accurately with this, I think. It should be pretty close to temperature. I'll check it quick. Yep, it's right around where it should be. So I'm gonna remove this one. I'll grab the wheel out of the oven, set it there, and start spraying. If I spray the bottom first, when it rests on here while I'm spraying the top, I might mess up the powder coating on the bottom, so let's try to flip this over. 3D printed a little adapter that helps further get into the lug nut holes. Just slide right over in front of this, and it helps get into the harder to reach areas. I have to wait for it to get back up to temperature, and then time it for about 20 minutes, and then when that's done, I will be back. How's it going? Just wanted to finish up this video, explain the rest of the process after this point, and show the completed product, or mostly completed. Obviously, still need to get the valve stem put in it and get it mounted and balanced, but I will not be doing that. I'll put the valve stem in, but I'm not going to be mounting and balancing it. Using a manual tire machine can damage the rim. That's why it's not necessarily a good idea to use one on nice rims. The most tire centers, places that can do tires, have a touchless tire machine, so it doesn't actually ever touch the lip of the rim. There's a few different methods they use. Some of them will touch, but they will grab the inside of the back in a few places and actually push into the metal and hold it in place, and then push the tire around it. And that, for most purposes, that won't matter. You can actually see right here, that was done before on this rim. So that's what that is. Right there, and right there. Those actually are from a tire machine that held it that way. So this is what the finished product looks like. I think it looks pretty good. The back came out significantly more glossy. Not exactly sure why that is. It's good though, because the other 4 that I did had this finish. It's like a satin finish. So after this point, I will pull the valve stem in with this. I'll pull it in. Then I'll bring it and get it mounted and balanced, and it's done. That is how to powder coat a rim. I baked it at, trying to keep the part at 375 for about 20 minutes. That lets the powder coating cure, and then when it's cooling, you don't want anything to touch it. And to do that, all I did was I opened up the oven, shut the oven off, and to help cool it a little bit faster so it didn't cook any longer than it was supposed to, because this is a lot of metal and holds a lot of heat, I put a fan up to it and emptied the compressor through a little blower attachment at the same PSI, just low pressure to keep rusts from getting kicked up. That's it. That's all there is to it. Takes a little bit of time, but in the end it is worth it. Maybe, let's see, it took maybe an hour of sandblasting to get it to bare metal perfectly, maybe 30 minutes of wire wheeling to get most of the big junk off of it, maybe 5 to 10 minutes to physically remove the tire and valve stem, maybe a little bit more than that. And then the actual powder coating process of spraying the powder took maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes. The baking it in the oven took about 25 minutes, maybe a little bit more than that. I did get it up to temperature first, so maybe 40 minutes total, preheating the oven, preheating the part, spraying it, and then baking it for 20 minutes. And then after that, it's just a matter of letting it cool and having it remounted and balanced. If you like my channel and you like the things I do, feel free to like and subscribe. I will be putting out more 240Z videos in the future. I'm not completely done with it, obviously. It is far from done, actually. I'm working on getting the floor pans installed and the frame rails. I did finish the driver's side almost completely already. Need to do the passenger side, and then I can start welding in the roll cage. And then after I get the roll cage welded in, I'm going to go around and make sure all of the body panels are perfect. Once that's done, I can start paint prep and painting. And then after that, it's really just a lot of parts and a lot of money. I haven't 100% decided on the engine yet. I still think I'm going with an RB25 turbo, but that may change. I've been looking into a 2JZ swap. They are significantly more expensive because of the transmissions and somewhat harder to find. Yep, so if you like the video, feel free to click the like button. If you like my channel, subscribe, and I will be putting out more videos in the near future.